Welcome to WagerTalk Today, the gold standard of sports betting shows where we talk the talk and walk the walk. NFL preseason is officially here. We had a tie. We had a blowout. We had it was just the whole gamut. God, it's so great to have football back in our lives, Dan.
Yeah, whatever you do, just don't say no one's locked in on the preseason, right? Or else it becomes a whole entire thing. So we will not say that in the open of the show here, Andy. We got Wager Talk Today coming your way. He's Andy Lang. I'm Dan Alexander. And we got Gianni the Greek coming on. Teddy Covers coming on. We'll talk NFL preseason, get his thoughts. He's also got a play for you in the Broncos and Falcons. We'll talk a little MLB as well. And Marco, Steelers fan. The future is here. Drew Aller, probably one of the stories of the night last night. He's going to give us some WNBA plays, but of course we'll pick his brain on how he feels about his new franchise quarterback. I say tongue-in-cheek, of course. Andy, though, we are a minute into the show, which means hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and it's time for the play that is 47 and 36. That's the Wager Talk Today play of the day, and we're going to the Octagon, Andy.
Yeah, let's get a little plus money action here. I like Fernandez over Jalen Turner here at the plus 124. There's a lot of things to like about Jalen Turner in the first round. Then it kind of falls off a cliff. So Jalen Turner, absolute athletic specimen. If you follow UFC, you know this guy's track record is he has incredible first rounds, then he makes mistakes and blows it at the end. So if this gets out of the first round, I've got the advantage. If this goes to decision, I'm pretty sure I've got the advantage. This is also a guy, Dan, that retired. He kind of quit in a fight and just retired. And then I don't know if somebody was like, hey, you need to not quit, go back. Or if he was like, wow, I kind of like having UFC money. But he comes back. They give him a 40-year-old guy that he knocks out in the first round. But Fernandez has, pound for pound, the best leg kicks in the sport. I would say it's not even debatable. We'll get Yanni's thoughts on that. This is a guy that his last fight, he finished the guy by leg kick TKO. Like he kicked the guy's leg so hard the guy had to be wheeled out in a wheelchair. And Jalen Turner's a big guy, and he's got skinny legs. A few of those kicks early in the round, and Fernandez will damage up that leg. Fernandez just has to survive that early onslaught, and then I think he starts rolling. I think he starts landing more leg kicks. And you get Jalen Turner hurt, this is a guy that will quit. He will absolutely quit. He will not fight hard for your money. I've seen him do it multiple times. So plus money to fade Jalen Turner on a guy with devastating leg kicks who's been through some wars. I like Fernandez at plus money. That's going to be your play of the day.
Hey, anytime we're talking UFC, you know I've been listening, Andy, since we changed our approach to how we bet it. And we're talking plus money for a free play. Count me in. We're going with the plus 124 on Fernandez tomorrow night. So I love it.
11-1 run for UFC. Yeah. So we've been running. Yeah, we've been running really good. We got a 4% that's up. So excited about that. Let's bring in Yanni. And so Yanni, first off, cash the Thursday hammer. The parlay didn't hit, but the individual's prop hit. So the Thursday
Four
hammer,
straight.
Best thing we got going, right? Never in doubt.
God bless America, baby. And it's like, you should see the text I just got. I got to read this to you. I don't know how it came over my phone. They must have known I swept the NFL board yesterday, because here's what I get. Hello there. I come from a club that offers local female companionship. This could make your daily life more enjoyable. Would you like to check it out? We offer home-based services with proper behavior required. Excessive drinking and violence are prohibited. You're welcome to use adult products, though. Please connect with me on Telegram. What a country.
Hey, man, that there is nothing fishy about
that.
Bro,
they come to you. Back in the day, I'd have to leave the house for this kind of action. Now.
Yeah, and it's on a safe platform like Telegram. Nothing shady goes on. It's nice and secure. It's safe. Nothing could go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, and is the excessive drinking and bad behavior, is that you, Yanni, or is that the
they just don't make sure you don't drink anything she hands you. You'll be okay. We don't need to get trick rolled before the NFL regular season.
Yeah, no inappropriate behavior and violence. Pass.
That adult toys are allowed. So there you go.
Okay. Yanni, what do you think of play of the day? I like Fernandez plus money over Jalen Turner. Agree, disagree. All
I
opinions
bet him.
welcome.
I sent him out to my subscribers at plus 140 as a 4%,
there we go.
150 plus 150 as a 4% play. Like a week ago, because I got out ahead of the 330 card because we had to tape the UFC on the line the week prior. So like when we were taping last week's UFC event, we had to also do the 330 show. That's what a lot of people don't know. They don't realize, like, I'm taping these shows. The fact that I've turned a profit on that show 7 out of the 8 seasons or 6 out of the 7 seasons is like luck. It's blind luck. There's no way I that should happen because like a lot of these, we're taping it like weeks in advance. Like we didn't even have props. So we didn't even cover like round totals or any props. We just had these lines. But at that time, I thought it was much closer to a coin flip than Turner having a 2-to-1 edge. Granted, he's always going to have a slight physical advantages at that weight class from height and length, but he just doesn't use it the right way. So for me, I think there's a lot of value on Fernandez. Again, I know it's also the sharp side. I know a couple sharp guys that I respect are on Fernandez as well. That kind of gave me the confirmation and why I felt at the very least, I'm going to get a ton of closing line value. So yeah, I got down on that early. I got 5 plays so far in UFC. I have 2 more on the radar, but the line's moving in my benefit. So no reason to bet it yet. We'll just get a better line by waiting. And I'm hoping with my originator that maybe we get a round total or some props to add to it by Saturday. Because again, these numbered cards, I compare them to playoffs in NFL or Super Bowl type things like the White House card, where you get so much more recreational bettors than you do on a fight night card. So the playing field changes a little bit, kind of like the betting market now that we have preseason football. You saw yesterday with baseball, like the playing field definitely changes in all the markets because, again, people are back. Like people that weren't betting baseball throughout the summer, they're back because football's here. And they're going to dabble in when there's not football, they're going to dabble in what's on the board. And we saw that yesterday. So yeah, I'm all on agreement with the Fernandez play there. And with dogs, like I said, as far as the UFC for a little bit, I need to have a lot more conviction on my favorites than my underdogs because I know I'm paying a premium on favorites. Again, doesn't mean you can't take a bad number. It just means you know you're taking a bad number and you need more conviction. Because again, when the favorites are winning at the clip that they're winning, and I just sent in the updated numbers to the UFC yesterday, we are at, I'll tell you, I thought I had it right here. They're over, I got it right here. Sorry. 77%. Right now, they're exactly 73.5%. So through 325 fights, we have 239 favorites, 82 dogs, 4 draws or no contest. That's 73.5% versus the closing line compared to 65% historically. More importantly, underdogs are only cashing at 25%, 25.2. Historically, they cash at 34%. Bro, you're talking about a 30, 40% decline in underdogs compared to their historical win rate. You're going to get juiced favorites. I sound like a broken record, but that's exactly what we're looking at in the MMA landscape, most notably the UFC, where books have been cashing 6, 7, 8, 9 fighter parlays the last 3, 4, 5 weeks, because last week we had 11-1 favorites. The week before that, we went 12-2 favorites. Dude, that's 23-3. 23-3 favorites in the last 26 UFC fights. That's a lot of parlays cashing, brother. A lot of parlays.
Yeah.
So I went a little too long on Fernandez, but yeah, I'm all over it.
Well, let's talk NFL preseason from last night, and then we can talk about tonight. Lions get the cover. Steelers blow out the Packers in the second half. That's an easy cover. Yeah, with the tie, because the Colts were the favorite. So Patriots get the cover as the underdog. Cardinals run away with it. Chargers run away with. That was my big regret last night. Trey Lance is just the perfect preseason quarterback to bet on. They run away with the Texans, and then you got to push with the Titans and 49ers. What were your notes from last night?
I got a little lucky, and I joked in the steam room last week. If we get lucky this year, oh my God, imagine what can happen. Because I'm like, last year I just had no luck at all, and we still like crushed it, turned a nice profit in college football and NFL. Again, don't want to sound like I'm just touting, but we finished number one in profit. But I didn't get lucky. It was like 55%. I'm like, if we get lucky this year, forget about it. And last night I got lucky because I had the under in the Vegas game, and never in doubt with that 28, 35 points in the first half. So I thought that was a loser. All unders. That's what we saw. And I think that Hall of Fame game kind of got even sharp bettors pausing for a second, like, wait, is it different this time around? And like we've learned with Bitcoin, like we've learned in every other market, it isn't different. This time is different, just doesn't exist. It's never different. History doesn't repeat, but it definitely rhymes. And we're seeing in the preseason a couple inflated totals. And what did we see? Every single game went under the total, and the bettors were just betting those games over. And I think it was recency bias coming in off that Hall of Fame game where, they saw 60 plus points put up on the board. The other thing that stood out to me, that late steam crush. Pay attention to those late moves. I'm almost pissed that I'm low volume and I didn't have a steam sheet last night, because right before 10 minutes before kickoff, they came in and they took the Steelers in the first half at +3. They took New England at +3. And the beauty of it is it wasn't even reflected on the board. You were seeing 3 minus 115 the other way. So they were getting +3 at a discount, -105, even money. So there must have been so much public money the other way. And then finally, they took the dog in that Detroit-Cincinnati game, the +7. And I thought that was a middle attempt. So I wasn't going to use that anyway. But it was a note to self to pay really close attention to those late line moves. And I talked about it, all the time, that those are legit. Like, again, it's hard because you're not to make a decision, because obviously you're not getting the same number that move got bet at, but there's no room, there's no time for manipulation. There's no time for anything else. Like, if they're hitting a game that hard, that late, it's not a middle attempt, kind of like that 7-point line movement that I talked about, that I wasn't sure what was happening. But when you see that first half Pittsburgh get blasted like it did, that's information based. That's something they know about what Pittsburgh's playing and what Green Bay's playing in that first quarter and second quarter. That's the only reason a play like that would come in 15 minutes before kickoff, 10 minutes before kickoff. And then the same thing you saw with New England, where there was just so much money the other way. It was juiced the other way. You saw they waited until 10 minutes before kickoff to hit that one as well. So those late line movements, we can pay attention to them and confirm more times than not, a lot more times than not, that it's super sharp and it's not public related. Because also think of the book's mindset. Like, a book has no reason to really adjust their line 2 minutes before the game. How are you going to get balance 2 minutes before the game? You know what I mean? Like, you don't have time. If you're that one-sided, if you're that unbalanced, you should already know. Or else, what did you do? Let one guy come in and bet 6 figures 2 minutes before the game? If you accept that bet, then you already know you're unbalanced. So it just wouldn't make sense logically that a book would do that minutes beforehand to try to, balance risk or track money the other way. There just really isn't enough time. So pay attention to those late line movements, especially right now in the preseason, where these wise guys are hammering. I know the discussion with regular season, preseason, is there value? Is there not value? I just look at these line moves today. I put out the steam sheet. There's so much information. Like, so many of these lines have moved and they're legit. Like, these are legit moves. They got -2 in their pocket and the game's going off at -6, -7. Those are great bets, win or lose. And you'll get a lot of them in the preseason. Very hard to place those same bets in the regular season.
Well, let's take a look at the games tonight. Jets, we're holding strong at -6.5. Broncos have been holding strong at -3.5. The Dolphins game is a little curious. I tried to dig deep into it, and I think I found some reason. But they're 3.5-point favorites. What are we seeing? I'm surprised we haven't seen a lot of these. I'm surprised we haven't seen a lot of movement this morning on these.
Dolphins got bet. That was on the steam sheet from Monday at +1.5, +1, pick 'em, and -1. Like they were just flipping the favorite there. Since then, it's been piggybacked up to that key number that you're looking at and through the key number. That's what sticks out the most. It got through the key number multiple times. Usually when pay attention to this, when it gets to that key number of 3 and there's enough pressure that they have to go to 3.5 and immediately it gets bought up and they go back to 3. A lot of times what they're going to do is they're going to start juicing the 3, not going back to 3.5, not giving you that opportunity again. Well, here they're doing that. They're allowing sharp bettors that they already know want 3.5 on Washington to get 3.5 on Washington. So that tells me one of two things, that they have a ton of risk on Miami, which is obvious because I told you from Monday that they're sharp money at +1, +1.5, pick 'em, -1. So we already know the sharps early were on the Dolphins. And now, obviously, there's been public money on the Dolphins. Also, at 3.5, though, we saw some Commander sharp money come in, and it hasn't even affected it. Like it went to 3 and now back to 3.5. Dude, that's a strong move. That's a strong move on Miami. I would be very surprised if Miami lost this game. Just me, like blindly reading lines, Andy. If I don't, you cover up the team names. You don't tell me anything. You just show me line movement. In my 30 years here in Vegas, I told you this is the week I've been here 30 years of looking at opening lines, movement, closing lines, and results. I would feel comfortable betting Miami to win this game on the money line. At anything less than like -175, I'd be involved. I think the true line's closer to 210, 220. So get me down at like even 180. I'd be betting Miami money line. I think that makes a good bet. Tampa Bay and the Jets. Obviously, you don't need me to confirm. You saw sharp money come in on the Jets, but that was early. That was another one that was on the Monday or Sunday steam sheet as soon as those lines went up, because the Jets got bet at pick 'em and +1.5, -1, -1.5, like at much different numbers of what you're looking at now. And they moved pretty quickly. They got to 4, and from 4 they went to 6. Because again, they're not playing games. They know they're going to have like that. The sharps have a huge edge on a lot of these games. So they're going to move those lines with the first hit, like 2+ points. And we saw that here. And I haven't seen any take back. Now, obviously, 7 is what everybody's waiting on. If you like Tampa right now, you're waiting on 7. And if you're a sharp better that laid the points early with the Jets and you're going to work a middle, you're waiting on 7. And I'm seeing 6.5, juiced. So 7 is next. That's the question. When it gets to 7, what happens? What happens when it gets to 7? I like the Jets in this game, but obviously no value. Value's gone. Finally, Broncos and Falcons. We did get Broncos bet at -3.5. That's why it had moved to 4.5 earlier in the week. In fact, it got even a little higher. I saw at some books 5.5 and 6 at some places. And that's when you started seeing the Atlanta money come in. And again, this is preseason. You'll see a lot of that. They're betting numbers, not teams. So you have Denver -3.5, Atlanta +7, 6.5, 6 over here. Two-way action. That's why it's back, around that opener of 3.5, juiced to the Denver side. So make of it what you will. Sharps did go over agreement there, over 37 and over 38. Since then, it's been more piggybackers that, follow sharp money. And I'm sure the public's going to bet that game over as well. They bet all 6 games over yesterday. I see no reason they're not going to bet all 3 of these games over again tonight.
Anything in MLB? I'll tell you this. You were talking about like, once NFL's here, this is, the other people here. Well, the lines have gone completely cold in MLB props since NFL preseason start. I don't know if that's like
by
real
design.
thing. I can't find an NFL prop that's properly paid. They're just throwing in the towel on prices. It's like, oh, you like the over 4.5 strikeouts, minus 160, plus 103 on the comeback. You're like, what is this? So I don't know if that's a function of it, but it is lockstep since NFL that Hall of Fame game. I could barely find any lines on those props. But speaking of MLB, pretty good card today. What are we seeing there?
Yeah, and that's exactly what's happening, what you touched on. I have a ton of action on the Steam sheet in Major League Baseball today. So I'm going to narrow it down to the ones that I asterisk, because I make sure I let them know which ones I agree with most based on my own work. 952 under 8.5, St. Louis and Chicago. 956 under 9, Washington and Mets. 960 under 8, Milwaukee and the Dodgers. 961 Colorado, plus 140 down to plus 125. 961 under 8.5 and 8 in that Colorado San Francisco game. 963 White Sox, plus 135 and 130. 969 Seattle, plus 120 and the under 8.5. Finally, Cleveland Indians. Yeah, they're the Indians. Minus 110, minus 115. So, a lot of action. Also, WNBA, Indiana. I bet them myself also, but the line moved too quickly. I wanted to send it out to subscribers. So I'm like, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7 on Indiana. We had that lined at 8. So, the opener 5.5, 6 made sense, and sharp money came in with them also. So I like that Indiana, but it's kind of gotten away from us now to where, believe it or not, it's the money line price is offering more value. So I guess when they bet dogs, they do bet some money lines, because some of these money lines aren't a reflection of what it should be based on the spread, and you get a little bit of extra value. And this is one of those favorites that's actually giving you a little value on the money line. But they're juiced, man. Once you get up to that minus 300s, it's hard to lay those numbers comfortably.
Yeah, just a quick example. So I'll stop ranting. Michael King, pitcher for the Padres. I love the over 3.5 strikeouts on Caesars, minus 170 to the over, plus 125 on the under. Oh, minus 170, plus 125. Yeah, plus 125. Okay. What are you supposed to do with that?
At minus 170, the break even is 63%. At plus 125, the break even is 44%. What's 63 plus 44? 107. You're betting into a 7% hold. You know what that means? We can't beat
ripped off. You can't beat it. It's impossible.
We can't beat a 4.5. The 99.5% of bettors on the planet, every account that's ever been opened, haven't been able to beat 4.5% hold. And they're charging 7, and bettors can't wait to bet into it. That's why you got to start paying attention to these betting lines. Because I'm so glad you brought that up. At Tuesday's Contender Series, I was talking in the production meeting with one of the guys there. And he was telling me, bro, look at these spreads. And he showed me the lines just like that. And he said, I got buddies of mine that bet into this stuff every single day. Like, they don't even know the difference. He goes, he's like, I can't believe you showed me how to do that math. And I look at the holds, and they're 7, 8, 9, 10%, like double, triple what a minus 110 line. And they're betting it. And I said, why do you think they're down money? Every one of your friends is down money. Not one of them is ahead. You can't be. You can't. It's like horse racing. You can't, unless you have inside information, you can't beat it. There's a 30% hold on the board. How are you going to beat the sport? And when you're talking about 7% holds, again, I know props are juiced a little bit more, but that's a very, very hard.
I haven't seen it like this all year. And it started when the Hall of Fame game. So I'm telling you, I followed the prop.
The bettors are back. They know please note, don't take this the wrong way, but they know the squares are back. Like, they are here. They're here in full force, and they're here to bet football.
Full force.
They don't care. They don't care.
Yeah.
They're here to bet teams. So if they want to bet that over prop, whether it's 175, okay, we're betting over 175. They're not looking at what the plus side is. You think they're even looking at the plus side? They're betting the over. So they don't care what the under is paying you back. That's irrelevant to them. But to you, because you're like, wait, I'm not going to bet into a freaking market that's holding 7, 8%. I don't want to bet into this. You're sharp enough to see that. But 9 out of 10 people aren't even looking at the take back price. They're just looking at the price they have to lay. And to him, he's got to lay
Awful.
170. Okay, I'm okay with that.
Awful. All right. Well, what do you have up for everyone on Friday? Busy weekend.
Team sheet is up with a 4% in Major League Baseball. I think 23-7 the last 30. So well into since a month passed on those steam sheet bets. Remember, I narrowed down to 4% and put that in there for free, more or less, because you're getting all the info in there's WNBA today, even Major League Baseball, NFL. I have my future packages up, my season win total packages up, my UFC 330 packages up with 5 bets in there already. And of course, we got the weekend football here with the Steam Room tomorrow. So big weekend, boys. Jump on board. And best of luck to everyone. Keep doing damage. Stay the course. We're perfect in preseason so far. We're not going to stay that way, but we are going to keep doing damage. That's for sure. Football is upon us.
All right, Gianni the Greek, appreciate you helping us get ready for the weekend. Let's see, 4% UFC bet is up for us. We've also got a 4% best bet that is up for clients in NFL preseason. And y'all are going to laugh at this, but All Access clients got a NFL preseason plus NASCAR Truck Series parlay that just got sent.
Hell yeah.
They're not paying attention to those lines. I'm telling you, they're not paying attention at all to those lines. They have waffled a certain line in that truck series. So we'll get after that this weekend. We've got some auto racing plays that are up. So again, tons of specials. 3 days, get 3 days free is what we're recommending. So you got to become an All Access client to get the best of these preseason numbers. It's just a must. It's too hard to try and lock in a preseason line an hour before the game starts. So you turn on your notifications, you get notified when these plays come out. So here, let's bring in Teddy because we got to tell him what happened to us last night. So Teddy, welcome. Happy Friday. We had 2 NFL plays and they both pushed, which is almost mathematically impossible in the NFL to somehow push on 2 plays. We had the Colts on the money line, they tie, and then we had Titans -6, and the game ends on 6. So I was trying to come up with the toutiest way to do a write-up today, and I came up with 2 NFL games last night, like, didn't lose any. Like, is that the toutiest way to
that's why you can get it from.
But no, I just said we had a wild night, 2 pushes. We got a 4%er tonight. So anyway, how are you today?
And you could have had a third push, really, with that. I know that Gianni was able to cash at 41.5, but the Raiders Cardinals total was sitting at 41. That could easily have been a push. And of course, when you had 2 4th down stops and a missed 33-yard field goal, it wasn't like a long one, with a 33-yarder that he pushed. Sometimes you end up with the half-point wins. But we talk about the importance of preseason. This is why, look, I'm going to hype the NFL opening line report right here. Because if you watch that show on Monday, all right, and Dan, you were co-hosting with me, we gave the emergency betting alerts. We said the line's going to move here, the line's going to move there, and we were ahead of the market. Yeah. Just about everything that we talked about. I had 2 plays for the clients. Had to pull them both down. The lines move too much. My long-term clients all have them, but I can't have the packages up for sale because the markets, when the markets move 3, 4, 5 points, like they're going to, the time to take advantage of that is Monday, not an hour before kickoff. Now, you can take advantage of some of the buyback on some of this stuff right before kickoff, like Gianni was able to do with the 41.5. That got bet up. You bet under 41.5, boom, they land 41. So you can take advantage of some buyback late, but in terms of which way we expect the numbers to move, we got a pretty good idea of that every Monday morning. So please watch the WagerTalk NFL opening line report live, 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern, each and every Monday, right here on WagerTalk TV.
Must watch TV for sure. Absolutely must watch. I watch it live. I'm getting ready for my shows and I watch it every Monday live. So I appreciate you, Teddy. So, all right, I'll let you guys go. Talk some baseball, talk some preseason.
Yeah, Teddy, well, before we talk, we're going to do Broncos and Falcons and wondering your thoughts on that game, obviously. But first, I see Marco's in the back end here. He's coming up next after you. And he just has a glow about him. Like he's got a all-star quarterback under center now. Drew Aller, the Aller has arrived, Teddy. So what thoughts on last night's preseason games? I'm sure you were dialed in across the board. We got 3 more coming today. So NFL preseason is here. overreaction to say the Drew Aller era has arrived, Teddy? What do we think?
That's the beauty of the NFL preseason. It's all overreactions because no one reads the notes ahead of time to figure out what's going on. So when you have a team that looks really good and they say, yeah, well, they were facing an opponent that didn't, they were just running the base defense the entire game, like the Raiders did last night against Arizona, for example. 2 games in a row where Arizona hasn't faced a single blitz. And what happened? Touchdown, 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 field goal, their first 5 drives. Arizona's had the best offense in the entirety of the preseason. For Pittsburgh and Drew Aller, let's settle down. All right. He threw a nice catch and run to Caden Wetchen. All right. And Wetchen, ran, it didn't quite make it in the end zone, but he had a 74-yard gain. And he had a couple of nice drives against third-string defenders on a team that's breaking in a new coaching staff and all that, but it's for a team that's breaking in a new coaching staff and all that. But to say, oh yeah, Drew Aller's the guy. You would. I mean, I after Fernando Mendoza put a touchdown in people text me, oh man, Mendoza. I'm like, settle down. It's week 1 of the preseason. They're not facing starters, not even facing backups. All right, they're not facing any pressure. They're not having to make any tough decisions. Tap the brakes on the QB. Now, if he does it 3 weeks in a row, we say, wow, Drew Aller, maybe he's got something going. But to see Aller with a catch and run and some good-looking box score stats at the end of the game, it means in terms of moving the needle for me, not even a little bit, Dan.
Yeah, tell that to my Penn State buddies who were texting me all last night about, do you see Aller? Yeah,
that's how hungry everyone is for football, dude, because preseason starts. And as a bettor, these overreactions are definitely something you can take advantage of. Next week, there's going to be a Drew Aller tax. Drew Aller didn't do anything. All right. He completed the pass he was supposed to complete. His receiver made a nice run. He led one nice drive down the field. All right. Against, again, a team that wasn't blitzing. It was playing vanilla defense. So when people say, oh, no, Drew Aller could play. Now, remember, Aller got his snaps in this week and looked good. The coaching staff may have a completely different plan for next week. Aller might not see the field. He might be handing the ball off when he's in the game. But the fact that bettors overreact to this stuff and think, oh, what I saw yesterday means something for next week, that's where we can legitimately take advantage.
Yeah, and hey, for Aller's credit, he will get to face off if he does end up starting against Cincinnati's defense and against the Cleveland Browns defense without Myles Garrett. So who knows? Maybe he will be just playing some vanilla defenses moving forward.
Did you watch Cincinnati's defense last night?
They looked a lot better.
A different looking defense than what we've seen the last couple of years. That being said, their offensive line, I mean, Joe Burrow just was got that didn't look and clocked again. They're like, all right, let's sit Burrow. But we think of the Bengals they've been an over team in recent years where the defense has been awful and the offense makes plays. And that offensive line got lit up last night. The defense making plays all over the field. And of course, the Lions, who hadn't moved the ball all day, fourth quarter, cover on the line, right down the field into the end zone for the back door. So, that can and does happen. Cincy didn't score as much as they were supposed to, but, Lions, if you had the Lions last night, they were not a right side. They were on the lucky rather than good scenario, at least in this bettor's opinion.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Teddy. We could recap all day long because football is back. What does it mean next week? Make sure you're tuned in 11 a.m. Monday morning. How do we take what we have learned? And you've seen Teddy learned a lot last night. How do we take that and make money on it in week 2 of the NFL preseason? NFL opening line report, your ticket to do that. But Teddy, week 1 ain't done. We still got plenty to learn. And this one's starting to settle in. Still some 4s out there. Denver 3.5. This total floating around. This you can find at a couple different numbers, but the one we have on the graphic for you, you're looking at 41 on the total as the Broncos are taking on the Falcons. Teddy, are you breaking this one down?
Yeah, from a side standpoint, 3.5, the prevailing number here. There are some 4s for Denver as road chalk. From a total standpoint, there's significant variance right now. You can get anything from 40 juice to the over to 41.5 juice to the under. So, one of the things we always talk about in terms of getting the best of the number, get the best of the number. That's why we have accounts open at more than one book. So we can take advantage of differences between the betting market in the betting marketplace and still cash winning tickets without paying extra juice to do so. So significant variance right now on this total. That being said, I'm not looking at the total in this ballgame. We're looking at the side. The Broncos starters are expected to play about 15 snaps. Bo Nix will not be in the game this week. Peyton, quote, Expecting our starters to play around 15 plays. Bo won't play in this game. He'll play next week. So what the plan is for Denver, Jarrett Stidham and Sam Ehlinger are each going to play for a half. Two veteran QBs who've been in this system. It's a bet on QB duo. Again, Sean Payton's quotes. They're doing well. Again, I've said this. They're focused on their best stuff. They're competing against the other 31 quarterbacks in the league. No different from the other positions. It's a great quarterback room. These guys get along. It'll be good to get them some real game experience and see how they're doing. That being said, this quote from Sean Payton did stand out to me, talking about Denver and some of the injury problems they've already had. Quote, a lot of them, he talked about the starters, meaning they're going to play 15 snaps. A lot of them aren't going to be there. We'll have a group back here in Denver. Generally speaking, if a guy's injured during the season, a lot of times it's better if they're not flying or traveling. There's going to be a group here that's rehabbing. That being said, Denver is chalk here because Atlanta's got issues. We had Matt Ryan, who's been retired for a number of years, and the team president of football operations. He was forced last week into action, throwing the ball around in practice because they were so short on quarterbacks. Now, Tua returned to quarterback earlier this week. He is expected to get some game action, but don't expect too much from Tua this week, okay? Quarterback coach Alex Van Pelt. Looking forward for Tua to getting his first action in a game in this system. There's a lot of newness for him. It's always tough to come into a new system, but really the last 3 or 4 days he's come on. The biggest thing you can tell is he can see the field really well. If he makes some mistakes, he can see that and exploit it. Atlanta expected to play their starter for, quote, a series or 10 plays, whichever comes first. So Denver likely to have some starters. Atlanta likely to have Denver likely to have the starters in the game for longer than Atlanta. Advantage Denver. That's part of the reason why they're favored. The other reason why Denver is favored while they're on this ballgame is a guy named Jack Strand. All right. After Tua gets his 10 plays, of course, Michael Penix hasn't practiced yet in 11-on-11. He's not going to be the starting quarterback to open the season for Atlanta. It's likely to be Tua. So after Tua, who plays 1 series or 10 plays, whichever comes less, we're going to see Cooper Rush for Atlanta. Cooper Rush was just signed off the waiver wire last week. So it's not like he's got great familiarity with this offense. He signed with the Falcons last Wednesday and got reps with the first team offense immediately. And after Cooper Rush, who has no experience in this offense, gets his playing time, then we're going to see a kid named Jack Strand. Jack Strand is from undrafted afterthought out of Division II Minnesota State Moorhead. And he was supposed to be the developmental quarterback, and then he was going to be the third string quarterback, and then he was going to be the second. Penix Jr. was hurt, and Tua's back tightened up, and then Trevor Siemian got cut due to an injury, and all of a sudden Jack Strand's with the starters. He's going to get ample playing time in the second half here. In this bettor's opinion, he is not a bet on quarterback in this spot, and Denver deserves to be favored. If I'm playing, I'm laying. I'm not expecting a lot from Atlanta after the starters leave the field.
The rightful favorites says Teddy covers. Teddy, let's talk a little diamond. Go ahead.
Just worth noting, no favorites covered yesterday. Okay, not a one in the NFL.
Good point.
So when you see that on a Thursday, the markets tend to react and / overreact. And again, some of that was a little bit of randomness. There was a lot of 1 point and 2 point favorites. This isn't that. This is a 3.5 point favorite. I think they deserve to be favored. So I recognize I'm going into prevailing trend, but the Broncos are in the better spot here.
Yeah, and one day in the NFL preseason does not quite a trend make, Teddy. So,
Sure,
yeah, exactly that. Let's talk the diamond here before we talk about what you have rocking tonight and moving forward here over at your page. Talk Yankees and Blue Jays. Yankees favorites in this one. It looks like it's going to be Cole versus Bieber, according to my odds screen here, Teddy. And these are two teams who are coming off of games yesterday in which they were shut out while they were going for sweeps. So somebody's got to win this one. How do you see the bounce back coming for which team?
Yeah, you get to one, you win, right? Let's talk about the Blue Jays and the Yankees. We'll start with looking at the Odds Logic live odds screen. And guys, get that free trial. 7-day free trial, oddslogic.com/Teddy. It's a cool product. I use it every day. Most of the cappers at WagerTalk use it every single day. But looking at the live odds screen, I'm seeing the Yankees anywhere from -145 to -150, the prevailing number. Total 8. juiced to the under Cole versus Bieber in this one. And obviously, the Yankees have 9 wins since the All-Star break when scoring 3 runs or less. And they have 8 losses since the All-Star break when scoring 2 or less. So this is a lineup that really, the pitching's been good enough to give them low-scoring victories, but it's not a lineup that's doing anything. They ranked 28th in the majors since the All-Star break in runs scored. They ranked dead last in the big leagues with a 207 batting average since the All-Star break. And then they broke out they had a 10-run outburst on Wednesday, and they followed it up with a shutout yesterday. Still, 4-2 the last 6, 14-9 the last 23. They're playing winning baseball. Aaron Boone, quote, "We're doing a lot of good things. We're obviously wanting to get the offense jump-started. We're seeing little signs, little crumbs of that, hopefully. But now it's kind of on to Toronto after yesterday's shutout loss." Toronto hasn't done me any favors. Every time I said Toronto stinks, they're done, let's bet against them, they come back and beat me. The Leafs are playing winning baseball. They're 27th in the majors in runs, just like the Yankees. They can't hit. They're tied for 19th with a 234 batting average. But look what they've just done. They've won series against the Nationals, the Cards, the Astros, the Phillies, the Red Sox. That's 5 straight series victories, 10-5 the last 15 games. They're only 2 games out of the wild card spot right now. Obviously shut out yesterday. Manager John Schneider, quote, "It's frustrating because we had some opportunities. Looking at it in totality, we're playing really well right now. You can see that guys are tired, but they're grinding and they're leaving it out there. Today just wasn't our day, but I feel like the way we're playing, when you take a 3-4 with a division opponent, it's a good thing." We talked about both teams getting shut out yesterday. The question is who can score today. I'm not convinced that the Blue Jays are going to put up runs a bunch against Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole's been really good since the All-Star break. His last 5 starts, 4 quality starts. The one that wasn't, he only allowed 1 run, but came up 5 2/3 instead of 6 full innings. 40 strikeouts, 6 walks, 32 innings of work. He's been really good. The Yankees have won each of his last 3 starts. Shane Bieber's last 3 starts basically been in trouble every inning. He couldn't get out of the first inning in one of them. He got blasted by the Phillies his last time out. And he gave up 1 run in the middle start against Houston, but the Astros left 13 on base in that game. And literally, Bieber was in trouble in just about every inning he was in. So I don't trust Bieber. Lean here towards the Yankees. If I'm playing, I'm laying.
Laying, he is laying, says Teddy Covers. Teddy, WT.buzz/TC. All kinds of deals for folks to take advantage of over at your page and all handicappers over at WagerTalk. What do you got rocking tonight? 3 preseason games. There's plenty tomorrow as well. MLB is in full swing. What do folks find over at your page?
Yeah, we have a single best bet winner in MLB for tonight. I am not involved in the 3 preseason games from a client standpoint this evening. I do have a play up for tomorrow in preseason action. We may well add more, obviously. But the big story now is always the win report as we get into August. And the bigger story is my NFL season. All right. You can get the preseason, the regular season, the postseason, the win report, everything all included. $5.99 is the full season price. Take $50 off. Promo code TEDDY50 at checkout. Will get you every play from literally today through the Super Bowl. Nothing more to buy. No bait and switch. No nonsense. Take $50 off TEDDY50 at checkout. $5.49 for every play every day through the Super Bowl. I think it's a deal. Let's partner up. Check it out. WT.buzz/TC.
And Teddy, real quick before we let you go, we're always commenting back on our opening line report. We're always commenting back on here and responding to live comments. One of the comments was, Teddy, where are the NFL team previews? Where can I find your breakdown on different teams? Folks, you go to our YouTube page, you stay subscribed, you'll know when you're there because, Teddy, correct me if I'm wrong, you're well over a dozen teams that you have previewed in a couple different angles that you've previewed right here on the YouTube channel, correct?
Yeah, I forget if it's 19 or 20, but they're all up. If you go to my Twitter, if you go to my X, my Twitter, Teddy_covers, there's a link right at the top where all the pin to the top that has all linked to all the team preview videos powered by WagerTalk.
Love it, Teddy. WT.buzz/TC is where you can get the client plays. Teddy, keep winning, brother, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks for joining us.
Cheerio.
Appreciate you. Teddy Covers at Teddy Covers as well.
All right, we're going to bring on Marco, and then we're going to break down the Vikings over under 8.5 win totals. And then, Dan, I got a funny story for you about someone in my neighborhood who is single-handedly going up against a giant corporation. And
stick it to the man, baby.
There's an all-time story that I will tell you out of
stick it to the man.
But let's bring on Marco. We got to talk a couple of WNBA games. Marco, is your Drew Aller jersey going to be delivered Tuesday or Wednesday? What?
I fell for that with the Kenny Pickett jersey. I'm waiting a little bit. Okay. All right.
Well,
Smart
it
man.
was. I got to tell you, for preseason, boy, if they tell us that Drew Aller is going to get a lot of work, that Steelers team is a bet on. I mean, that's just fire away, fire away, fire away. So, all right, let's talk.
Like Teddy said, though, I mean, you got to look at who they played. It was in the fourth quarter, second half, in playing against the backups. But I do believe that the odd man out, and I'm not basing it on one. I said it before last night's game. Will Howard's going to be the odd man out. I think they keep Mason Rudolph for the experience insurance policy, and Drew Aller was, Mike McCarthy's draft pick, not, where Will Howard was Mike Tomlin's, and he wants to go with his guy that he picked. That's my take on it. Well,
I would be extremely happy if the Anthony Richardson experience would just be over. 2 fumbles and an interception last night. One of them on the goal line. And we had the Colts money line. So they'd get down to the 2-yard line. He fumbles. Then the next drive, he's running, looks like an elite athlete, fumbles it again, throws it to the wrong team. Should have had another one. And you're just like, I can't believe we wasted a top pick on this guy. It's not happening. It's just not happening. And then Riley Leonard comes in and looks almost as bad. It was bad night for my Colts, but I digress. One team in Indiana that's playing much better than those guys is the Fever. This is a team, Marco, that, boy, when they're clicking on all cylinders, not saying they're going to win the title, I'm just saying they're going to be in the mix here. Indiana has moved to -8.5 just in the last hour. So we're talking -8.5. I get where you're going with this one. This is a Fever team that's pretty impressive. Looks like Boston and Caitlin Clark are going to play tonight. They always listed as game time decision, but they're probable. So I think you get the full squad. How do you break this game down?
Yeah, you're going to get the full squad for Indiana, but you're not going to get the full squad for Dallas, and that's the reason you're seeing this line move the way it is. Dallas is going to be thin at the guard position tonight. Now, they will have Paige Beckers, but, when you're going against Indiana, you don't want to be thin at the guard position because you got probably the best dynamic duo as far as scoring threats at the guard position with Indiana, with Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell. And Kelsey Mitchell, my God, okay, she is playing like a player possessed, and she is playing like somebody that, let's put it plainly, she's pissed off that she got left off the World Cup team. This is a player that's putting up MVP numbers this year and is not on the team. I can't understand it. And she just keeps putting points up. So Dallas is going to have their hands full. In the style that Dallas plays, they like to go at a fast pace. That's great, except if you're going against a team that likes to go in a fast pace as well and does it much better than you do. This is an Indiana team that scored 100 points in 7 of their last 9 games. They've shot over 50% from the floor in 8 of those 9 games. And like I said, with the 3-headed scoring monster, it's bad enough. You got to, worry about Mitchell and Clark. Then if you snooze on either one of those two, and Caitlin Clark is very good at passing the basketball, what happens is you hit Alea Boston inside. They're going to be a hard out for anybody in the playoffs. I have them in the top 4 in the WNBA this year, and I think they roll in this game tonight. And throw one last stat with you as far as Dallas goes. When they played the previous game at home and they head out on the road, this is a team that does not perform well. They're just 2-8 against the spread this year in that situation. And you got a team that's not playing good currently. Remember, going into the All-Star break, Dallas was one of the hotter teams. They've come out of the All-Star break 2-5 straight up and against the spread. There's only one way to go. It's Indiana, but act quickly because you're losing value because this line keeps going up.
Yeah, agree completely. The Wings burned me the other night. I had them against, the Tempo They were up 18 and then somehow managed to blow it at the end and not even get the cover. So not a team I'm excited to bet on. All right. Well, since you're breaking down WNBA, sometimes you just have to break down the game that's left on the schedule. And we have the Storm and the Fire. Let's just say not a lot of fire in the Portland Fire these days. And the Storm are not exactly storming to the top of the rankings here. Got to break it down. What are you doing with it?
Well, you guys send out the schedule for the week of, who's doing what. And I just saw the game that I had this one. First thing I thought of, did I piss Dan off or you, Andy? And then I looked at the schedule and I said, oh, no, okay, they're not mad at me. There's only 2 games today. So, yeah, Portland and Seattle. Yeah, this is a game that's, when you look at this one, they just played last Saturday, okay? And Portland got the win, 100-93. Portland, obviously, one of the 2 expansion teams this year. They're 2-0 against Seattle. Now, I look at that last game last Saturday, and it was the final game of a 4-game road trip for Seattle. And it was one of those East Coast road trips, all right? So we always talk about these teams in the WNBA and the schedule and how bad sometimes the travel is. So not a favorable spot. And, they lost by 7. They gave up 100, but they did put 93 up. I think they can turn it around here. Now, the Seattle defense leaves a little bit to be desired. They've allowed 92 or more in 8 of the last 10 games. But I got to be honest and point it out. First of all, Portland's defense is not good either. But look at the Seattle schedule. And over that 10-game span where they gave up 8 out of 10, 92 or more, they played in that 10-game stretch Minnesota twice, Indiana twice, and the New York Liberty twice. That's a pretty impressive WNBA list that they have faced. So this is a team, I think, that the public perception is, overreacting to what they've been doing lately. And it's more a sense of what the schedule is. And I think they get the job done tonight when they play this one. One other thing is whenever they played last week, if you look at that last game, they lost 76-72 to Golden State as a 9.5-point underdog the game before they played Portland. How many times have I talked about it? When big dogs come up just short, I want no part of them in the next game. Oftentimes you get that flat effort, or as we like to say, lose the same game twice. And I think that was the case. So let's flip the script. Look at Portland. Look at what they're coming off of. Their last game, they were a 12.5-point underdog to Minnesota. And just like your game the other night, Minnesota did have a big lead in that game in the third quarter. But Portland comes storming back and only lost by 4 as a 12.5-point underdog. I think they come in here flat tonight. I'll go ahead, take Seattle, get the job done. It's one of those ones you got to hold your nose, though, when you make that play, because these are 2 ugly teams in the WNBA.
Yeah, I actually weirdly like the over in this game. These 2 teams are just pretty horrible on defense, but not complete disasters on on offense. So, all right, Marco, what do you have up? I know you got the deli. What else we got going
Deli
on?
will be coming out. We'll be filming that within the hour when we get off here. I've already got up one. The premier play for tonight is my 4% baseball underdog game of the week. My last 4% was on Wednesday night. It was an easy 5-0 winner on the Chicago White Sox. We got 4% tonight. I will be adding to that. We'll be having a WNBA player prop tonight. We were looking at a couple other baseball plays that can make the card, and then still finalizing if we're going to do anything in football tonight. We did hit our football play last night to start the season. So we, just like everybody else, whenever the new season starts, we all start at 0-0, and when you win your first play, baby, you're 100%. We're undefeated for the season. So good start there. But seriously, guys, if you want to come on board, the way to do it, if you just want to go for the short term, the best deal is grab the 3 days for $69, and you get 3 bonus days. And that's going to be ending soon, guys. Little tip for you. If you want to grab that, do it now. And then if it's football season, we've got a lot of different offers. You can pick up the rest of 2026 for all sports for $7.99. You can grab an NFL package or a college package or the combo package. And don't forget, Bet On It is out. We did Bet On It this week, the first show. And if you watch the show, you'll be rewarded with a special coupon there if you want to take advantage of a football package from the members of Bet On It, myself, Yanni, and Kelly. You can check that out. Head over to our YouTube channel. There's a college edition and an NFL edition. And man, football season's back because we're already getting everybody yelling at us for what plays they don't agree with. And that's what makes it great. Everybody's got an opinion. We'll see who's right at the end of the season.
Absolutely. Marco, D'Angelo, check out the deli. Check out Bet On It. Thank you very much, Marco. Have a great weekend.
All right, guys. Good luck.
Thanks.
Marco.
Just a quick question. How did the Wings win the first two meetings? The first meeting was the very first game of the season, and the Wings were healthy. And in the second meeting, Leah Boston did not play in that game, and the Wings were healthy. So dealing with a not healthy Wings team tonight. So, all right. Let's break down the Minnesota Vikings. This was the viewer choice for what team or future we're going to break down. So we got the Vikings over under 8.5 wins. I'll go first, Dan. Looking at them last year, their offense was just truly awful, but their defense was elite, and they won 9 games. Now, they did win the last 5 games of the year. Washington and Green Bay were not playing their starting QBs in those games. So Kyler Murray's already been announced as the starter. So I went and tried to find some rankings for offensive lines, defensive lines. PFF has the Vikings offensive line ranked 12th, decent. Darrisaw's been hurt, but when he's healthy, he's one of the top guards. The Vikings defensive line got the most pressure on the QBs with or without the blitz last year. They are truly elite. They held teams to the 7th fewest points per game, top 5 in red zone and third down defense. Basically, their defense is just going to be nasty. They added some more depth in the draft. Their skill position players, you got Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason at the running back. This is a pretty under-the-radar, wicked wide receiving core, man. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. They add Juwan Jennings, and you got TJ Hawkinson. It's pretty good. Their schedule is manageable. They do get the Dolphins, the Jets, Colts, Panthers. Tough division, though. Dan, let's be honest. This just comes down to Kyler Murray. We know their defense is going to be good. This line literally comes down to you. Do you think Kyler Murray can win you 9 games or not? I think the change of scenery is going to be good for him. I can't believe I'm going to do this. I'm going to go over for the Vikings, and I hate myself for saying that.
Andy, which quarterback has not exceeded expectations? And I'll even put McCarthy in that. I don't think my expectations were that high, but with Kevin O'Connell, like everyone talks about, quarterback whisperer, this quarterback whisperer, that, you know what I mean? For all of these coaches, a lot of times where there's smoke, there's fire. And that's how it feels with Kevin O'Connell. And also, let's not forget that, it wasn't ancient history. It was 2021. So you're talking about 5 years ago when Kyler Murray was a guy who late in the season was in an MVP conversation of the level that he had. So is that guy still in there somewhere? Well, it's not like you have to dig that deep in Kyler Murray because he's only about 4 feet tall. So he's looking up at Kevin O'Connell, excited for this new job. I'm right there with you. This comes down to, can Kyler Murray be just as good, if not better, than these other quarterbacks that they've dealt with, Andy? And I don't see why not. I think, as you laid out there, I'm surprised that offensive line is ranked as high as it is, because there were times last year where feels like you're banging your head against the wall with this team. You have a Flores defense who's going to be flying around and is going to finally give Kyler Murray some points behind him, some ways to feel good. If he leaves the field with a 3-point lead, he's not knowing, hey, I probably have to come back out. I think this number is, I'm not going to say way too low, Andy, but this is a team that in Kevin O'Connell's tenure, correct me if I'm wrong, they've gone under this number 1 time. And I think this is the best quarterback that he has to work with. Again, he's not the best
Wild.
quarterback. Yeah, it's not the
Wild
best
to
quarterback
say that.
hands down, but Kevin O'Connell has gotten the most out of bad quarterbacks before. And this is a quarterback who had something in him and now is away from a situation that you could tell he was just completely apathetic about for about 3 years. So I'm not saying this is way too low, but Andy, there's enough that this would be a bet for me. I like the Vikings over 8.5 wins. I think I don't think they're going to compete to win the division, but they're going to steal some games off of teams in this division. Give me the over 8.5 for the Minnesota Vikings. Crazy. Kyler Murray, what are we doing?
Listen, sometimes you just need to change the scenery. I trust Kevin O'Connell. I trust the defense. So, yeah, we'll roll with the Vikings over. Pretty wild times we live in. So, all right, here's my story. Real quick, though, 4% UFC best bet is up 4%. NFL preseason bet is up tonight, coming off of a non-losing night in NFL preseason. Just kidding. We pushed both games if you didn't hear earlier. So a lot of good things, though. It's a great time of year to build the bankroll, get ready for regular season in the NFL. We have a lot of plays that are up for clients. Also, the same game parlay videos have been killing this week. Another winner yesterday, Dan. So I believe that's 3. So going for number 4 tonight. So that video is up. It's in the WNBA. So, okay, here's my story. So I live in condos, and when you drive out of my condos, there's a Walmart on your right, along with a couple mini malls. There's a charter school on your right, and there's a building that used to be a McDonald's. Okay. Traffic is already bad because it's one intersection. So you got people pulling in, and when school's getting out, just like, you just shoot me because of the traffic. So they want to put a Wawa gas station in where this McDonald's is. And that's bad news traffic wise for us. And they've pretty much already decided this is going to happen. So my buddy, who I do the reselling thing with, his wife has been fighting this, and she's gotten farther than any committee or anything. She somehow got a hearing this week and wanted a traffic study and wants Wawa to pay for it. And she has no lawyer experience. She has no idea what she's doing. Somehow they agreed to this. So she shows up, and there's a Wawa representative there. And like, she's just there by herself. And she pulls out a piece of paper and reads a letter that she wrote about how the traffic is going to be bad. And the Wawa rep is like, what are we doing here? Like, we've already decided this. She was like, no, I want a traffic study. And the guy was like, what is going on here? And the Wawa rep's like, I don't know what we're doing here. This has already been decided. And so the judge looks at her and was like, would you like a continuance? And she goes, yes. And he's like, all right, continuance. And the Wawa is like, wait a minute, continuance on what? So she has delayed Wawa.
Wow. Let's go. You gotta love it.
Oh, she said, and she was the only one there. Like, she kind of didn't really tell anybody about this. And she was like, oh yeah, the Wawa rep was just livid. He was like, what are we delaying? Why is there a continuance? What are we talking about? Just, I don't know. So she's fighting the man. So
stick it to the man. I'm all in on it, Andy. Let's go. I will say, I know that it's a nightmare. Having a Wawa nearby is lovely. I have a Wawa about 8 minutes from my house, Andy, and I will say, I get it. You don't want the traffic, and also every Wawa parking lot is hell. It's like Trader Joe's, where somehow it's just like they build it into the plan that, like, we want to make this as horrible for everyone involved. I will say, once you're in, though, having a Wawa nearby is
I would love a Wawa 8 minutes away. But what that is going to do to the traffic outside my condos is just going to be truly a nightmare. So, so anyway, funny stuff. All right. Bucks versus, we already did Bucks versus Jets. Teddy broke down Bucks versus Jets. Or no, yeah, he
gave Broncos versus Broncos. Falcons. I know our guy Jim is big on the Jets this year. I will say, Andy, up to 6.5 for the Jets. It's feeling like this one's getting a little bit out of hand. But what do you?
Okay, I'll do Bucks, Jets, and Dolphins, Commanders, because I've researched these games. Okay. So the Jets did not have a good week of practice. Neither did the Dolphins, and the Jets are joint practice with Tampa. Tampa is not playing Baker, and now their backup, Jake Browning, apparently hurt his back. They may be down to their third string, no name, whoever. Their roster's pretty much set. Todd Bowles doesn't care about this game. The Jets, meanwhile, they're going to be giving Cade Kublik a lot of run. They have position battles all over the place. The general consensus is the Jets are going to be playing a lot harder, and they're going to be playing some guys that are really, truly competing for jobs. So this may be just a Jets on the scoreboard, kind of a cruise win, just because the Bucs really don't care. The Dolphins is an interesting one because apparently they were horrible in joint practice. Like, they were awful, and yet they're 3.5-point favorites. And it's kind of more of the same thing where the Dolphins have things that they need to figure out. And, they're implementing new coaching. We saw this with Mike McDaniel with the Chargers yesterday. He wanted to see some plays and see some experiments. So there's these teams that come off of a really bad week of joint practice, and they're actually the ones that are motivated to play well. So the line movement is if you're playing it now, you've missed the line movement, but on the breakdowns of the games and on the teams, who's going to be playing harder and more in the second half? It's probably the Dolphins and it's probably the Jets. So that would be kind of the breakdown. So
worth
sense?
Mentioning too. You talk about coaches that care, coaches that don't care. Dan Quinn is well on record that he does not care about the preseason. With the amount of games that he has, he is the worst head coach against the spread and straight up in NFL preseason history. So
7-19.
It's bad. So I don't want to quote the wrong number because I don't have it right in front of me. It might be 7-19. It might even be a little bit worse than that. But Dan Quinn, noted, does not care about what happens tonight. So I didn't bet it, Andy, because I feel like a lot of these lines have gotten a little bit out of whack. If you got to the Jets before it went through 6.5, all for that. I don't think it's enough for me to want to buy back on the other side. But going with what Teddy said, and then we can wrap things. Favorites have not covered yet in the preseason. And a lot of these favorites are getting a little out of control, I think, with some of these line moves. So take that for what it's worth. Really no bets for me across the board out of the one that we have up for clients right now at wt.buzz/AL. That's one that I do.
All right, let's wrap it up. Great week of show. Thank you to all the guests. Thank you to you guys in the chat. You guys crush it as always. Hit the like button. Drop us a comment. Tell us who you like this weekend. Always like looking at what you guys are betting on. So, RJ, expect some reports how your guys look on Monday. Expect glowing reports. So, thank you very much, guys. Appreciate you. Good luck on your bets, and we'll see everyone Monday. Take care.